From the Pink Seats podcast, the first and only podcast dedicated solely to the Louisville football program. We've got a lot to get into tonight, and if you're like me, you left Cardinal Stadium on Saturday following a disappointing loss to SMU, saying the season is over, the season is over. We'll react to that. We'll figure out if we still feel that way 24 hours removed from the loss. We'll discuss everything that happened on the field, get your reactions, a new Vince's game notes, plus around the ACC in 60 seconds. Subscribe to the YouTube channel right now, right below. Drop the intro. Let's go.
I don't think it's unreasonable to say that a lot of people think Jeff Brohm is one of the best coaches in college football. Are we sure that's the case?
From the Pink Seats podcast, Jacob Lane, Vince Lococo, producer Keith, your usual game reacting to another Louisville football loss, second in a row. And this one hurts. This one hurts deeply. I'm not going to lie. I left Cardinal Stadium on Saturday very frustrated. And as I mentioned in the YouTube intro, spent a lot of time asking and saying really out loud, the season is over. We're literally done. And we're just 6 weeks into the season. Might be a little bit hyperbolic. We'll get into all of that tonight on the show, reacting to a loss to SMU. If you're listening to the show via audio, we thank you. Subscribe to the show anywhere that you're listening. Rate, review. We love that. Want to hear your feedback, good or bad. And as I mentioned, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us at Pink Seats Pod on Twitter. And fellas, let's just jump right into it. We're going to skip past the pleasantries this week and just get to business. I hope.
I'm great. Thanks for asking. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. No.
I got to spend a lot of time with you all this weekend. I certainly can tell you, tell the audience that I think we all were very confident going into this game and left in a way that we did not expect to, just, some 3.5 hours later. So very frustrating considering the offseason, the hype, everything that has really been around this Louisville football program, potentially in the first year of the expanded playoff, having a chance to maybe make some noise and slip into that playoff. Louisville had a 32% chance to be in the playoff prior to this game with a win. And with a loss, they now have 8%. And that is straight from during the game. So that might have shifted slightly with Tennessee losing and some of the other upsets and stuff that happened in college football. But nonetheless, just 6 weeks in, Louisville has 2 losses and now finds themselves likely destined for a middling bowl. And it's really frustrating. So just instant reactions. Let's jump right into this. You know some of the statistics around the game. You know the fact that Louisville was, 6.5-point favorites again. Vegas doing their thing, man. 6.5-point favorites, but SMU wins by 7. Yeah, just absolutely cooking so far with Louisville. I always find that interesting where things go week to week. But man, they're on a heater here with Louisville. So Louisville falls 34-27, and it was a game again where Louisville's offense was really able to have its way. Tyler Shough, outside of the 3 sacks that he took, was dynamic with the football, and in my opinion, proved that he is an NFL quarterback. I think you're talking about a guy right now that's probably a day 2 draft pick, but could potentially by the end of the season, with this type of performance, be a day 1 guy with just the lack of names at the top of the draft this year. So he played well, but really this from drive 1, guys, we'll start right there. Drive 1, sitting in my seat, got my nice cold happy hour beer that I got right before kickoff. I'm ready to go. I'm thinking Louisville is on defense. They're Jeff Brohm exactly the way he wants it. We're getting a stop, 3 and out. We're getting the ball. We're scoring on the first drive. And, man, I saw Swiss cheese immediately. I mean, everywhere. Swiss cheese everywhere.
You could not have been more wrong.
Could not have been more wrong. So, Keith, what do you think, man? First drive, what were your feelings of just like, oh, damn, this doesn't look good?
Well, I was a little frustrated because the first drive ruined the play that I had put in place with our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Had a couple of different plays in place for this weekend, one of which, now granted, it was a 7-leg play, but with Underdog Fantasy's flex plays options, you have the option to put it into a flex play where you can still cash even if only a certain number of those legs hit. So you don't have to go all out. One of those, unfortunately, was Kevin Jennings' first quarter passing yards was at 46.5. I took lower, and that was dead in the water after drive 1.
Yeah.
So if you want to do better than me with our friends over at Underdog Fantasy, I highly encourage you to head on over to the website or the mobile app and sign up using promo code PINKSEATS. And if you do, you will get a free play for one of these daily or for one of the pick'ems, and then also up to $1,000 in initial deposit bonus cash. Again, that's promo code PINKSEATS at our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. And remember, play responsibly. Thanks, Underdog Fantasy.
What'd you think, man?
Yeah, no, not a fan. Got cooked through the air on the first drive. Almost all of it came on play 1. And yeah, after watching drive 1, as someone who went to bat for the defense after the Notre Dame game, I was telling myself, oh God, it's going to be a long day, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was, I was actually going up to get a drink that first series. I didn't think we were going to get hit for a big play right out of the gate. So I didn't even see it. And I'm coming back to the seat with 2 drinks for me and Isaac. And I look and see the field position. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And he's like, big play. And sure enough, it seemed like it was that the entirety of the game. Like within the first 4 plays, there was going to be some form of a big play where they were breaking off a chunk play to get on, their positive side of the field, which it was just frustrating, man. I'm not accepting. None of us were expecting this sloppy of a football team. You know what I mean? Having again the era of having 12 guys on the field, not enough guys on the field. It's like, where is this stuff coming from? Why are the substitution errors happening? Keith, I know you mentioned, the high school thing with it could be because of the transfer portal and not the continuity deal. But I mean, I've never seen anything like this where we've had this many this quickly in a row. It's a lot.
So I don't want to knock the conversation too far off the rails, but yeah, I had a few observations I made during the game, and I'm glad we record this on a Sunday, so I've had some time to simmer, think about it. But some of the things I'm still stuck on, are we sure? Like a lot of people, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that a lot of people think Jeff Brohm is one of the best coaches in college football. Are we sure that's the case? Because he's sure been making a lot of middle-of-the-pack coach decisions this season. And frankly, last year, with how we ended with a thud, the second we finally begin to actually play some talent, like we were proven to be paper tigers last season. Like, I'm not impressed with anything he's done at University of Louisville.
Well, Blank tweeted out after the game that we're 1-6 versus P5 teams the last 7 games or something like that. It was a weird stat. I can't remember it exactly off the top of my head, so don't quote me on that, people. But it's annoying, man. We always talk about us taking that next step, and it seems like this team right here is a team that you expect to beat 100%.
Right.
It's frustrating.
So I've had a chance to get a little bit of time to sit and simmer. And while I'm still on I'm not swayed, I'm not impressed with what you've done so far, there is a little bit of solace that our 2 losses are against teams that are, at least as of today, in the top 25. Notre Dame, I believe, at 11 and SMU at 21, 22, I think.
Right.
They're good, man. They're good.
Yeah.
They're
good. They're not.
They have skill players.
Better than us, though. That's what bothers me.
That's both can be true. Both can be true. That's correct.
You can get beat and still be the better team. That's what I think. That is what is twisting the knife in my gut the most at the moment.
So that was another one of the things is resetting the expectations for this team, because now as much as I tried not to get suckered into believe in off-season hype, I think I took the rat poison this offseason and talked myself into a few players that frankly didn't deserve talking into. And that's not to say all the transfers we got were bad. Tyler Shough, fantastic. Fully believe that he is an NFL quarterback, probably a day 2, day 3 guy as long as he stays healthy because he's got all the tools. Ja'Cory Brooks has been electric this year, a phenomenal get. I wish he could have made 1 or 2 more stellar plays in that game, but both of those would have been highlight reel, incredibly difficult catches. But if you're going to be that dude,
Got to make them.
Got to make them, man.
Especially that last one, man. You've got to catch that football. The diving catch into the end zone. You have to catch that football. I'm with you, man.
So I'm not going to say I'm not going to disparage all the portal additions on some of the, I personally refer to them as lotto pick players. We hit Renee Conga. Hell yeah. What a find. Diamond in the rough. But we've swung and missed on a lot of transfers. So I think with the majority of the roster being the way it is, I think that at this point, it's fair to say Louisville's just a good football team. They're not a great team, and they're damn sure not an elite team. Yeah, especially not with all the mistakes they're making.
The rest of the games this year definitely worry me from this point on.
Well, we can play look at the schedule here in a little bit. Let's talk more about the game itself, and then before we transition, we can go back to revisit that to level set what we expect for the rest of the year. So
look, here's one of the things that really was mind blowing in the rewatch of this game. Louisville gave up 3 plays of 30+ yard on first down on the first play of the drive in this game. It was telling right away. SMU was not afraid to attack this defense. They knew exactly where to attack this defense, and quite frankly, Jeff Brohm called it out in the press conference post-game that got to have a plan that works, which in my opinion is probably one of the strongest lines of nothing that he said, because if you read in between it, he's saying, look, English and Hagen, I don't know who's game planning. I assume it's English here, but it's awful. It didn't work. Whatever you thought was the case, exact opposite. And you didn't come even slightly prepared for adjustments. And as you guys mentioned with the substitutions, what I still can't get over is guys don't know where the hell they're supposed to line up. And I don't know what we're doing, but I counted at least 10 plays, and that's only plays that I actually remember to count where guys were not set. At least, all 11 guys were not set when the ball finally was snapped. Now, again, I understand motion and things like that, but if you're following and you're trucking with me, what I'm saying is 10 plays of guys not being ready to go. Their head's not in the right spot. They're not locked in. And at that point, not only that, but you two guys as football guys know this. You need a couple of seconds to understand what you're looking
at. That's what I was going to get at is there's no way that – and you're talking about the plays that don't even have an emotion associated with it, Jacob, or there's a DB pulling another DB or a linebacker from across the field because they're just not lined up right.
Yeah, or guys throwing their hands and waving, clapping.
Yeah, throwing the hands in the air, clapping and stuff. It's like you're not going to be able to run and analyze that stuff at the same time. You might think that you can, but you're not processing the entirety of the information like you should be to be successful. And it's just you're not going to be able to do stuff like that and win a football game.
Right, and it wasn't as if SMU was doing some unheard of things. Look, I understand they ran a lot of RPOs to get Jennings in a place where Louisville was baiting on Rashard Smith getting the football and not really counting for him as a runner. And what happened most of the time is it was allowing him to leak out of the pocket and throw these simple dump down passes into the flat to the tight end or to the running back. And they're picking up 15, 20, 25 yards because, one, there's nobody near the football. Somebody's man is completely running wide open. But secondly, then guys are missing when they get to the football. And one thing about last year is they tackled extremely well for the most part until the late in the season. And even into Florida State, they kind of refound that. But this team, man, there's one play where right against the sideline, the SMU wide receiver has 4 defensive backs, and he somehow made all 4 of them miss. It was incredible. It was just like, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. I didn't understand what they were doing.
You see guys turning it on and off too much, if you get what I'm saying, where they think a play's made, so they slow down a little bit, and then a play at some day to break the tackle, or, we might be fighting for extra yards and say, oh, shit, I got to go, where it's a slow down, speed up, slow down, speed up type deal. And it's like, well, that's a loaf. That's a loaf as plain as day that everybody can see.
I'm going to try to take the devil's advocate side to keep myself from getting pissed off with the defense. I do want to at least acknowledge one positive of the game is that we didn't let Rashard Smith hurt us. Like he
Yeah,
had 13
until that last
carries for
drive.
50. Well, he only had 13 carries for 52 yards, and his longest run was only 19 yards. If you'd have told me that was going to be the case before the game, I'd have been like, oh, hell yeah, we're going to force them to pass the ball. Yeah, we'll be set. No, Maryland ended up having, or not Maryland, pardon me. Jennings had nearly 120 yards rushing, if I remember correct.
Yep.
RJ Maryland, who I had been afraid of all season and I had talked about in the preview pods, is going to be an NFL tight end.
Yes.
Lit us up. He was the team's leading receiver. He's SMU's all-time leading tight end receiver. I don't understand how we didn't come out prepared for that counterpunch. Like, yes, obviously you got to be ready for Brashard, and they know you're probably going to be dialing in on Brashard. You have to have something ready for that for the counterpunch that they throw, and we weren't. We just ate it.
Not only that, but to me, one of the big takeaways is your defense just doesn't have enough guys at all. Like you're just not there from a talent standpoint
They
to
seem
be
too
able
stationary for me. Like
they've
everybody's just
gotten
standing
slow.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like
a lot of it,
everybody's analyzing stuff a click too slow.
right.
Like,
And if you look at like a guy like Dwayne Martin pre-snap, my man is ready to explode, right? Like he is ready to go. You can see him, but like defensively, they're just not like they're not in their stances. They're not like essentially they're not taking off and pursuing the way that they should. Their eyes are clearly not looking in the right places.
Yeah.
That lack of execution is combining with what is an obvious flaw in the roster, which is a lack of talent defensively, specifically at linebacker, is killing them. It's absolutely killing them
at this point. And I know everybody's really high on Stanquan, and I mean, yes, he has been the better of the two throughout the year, but I mean, he's not doing much better. If you watch him, he is standing up 90% of the time. He is out there playing linebacker, and it's like, why are you not in the stance? What are you doing? Why are you walking around pre-snap? Like, get set. I just don't understand little details and stuff like that. I'm sure they're telling him this in the linebacker room.
So Coach Brohm mentioned in the postgame presser needing to simplify the defense. Do we think that that's going to help resolve anything moving forward to help cure some of these woes? A guy standing around not knowing what they're doing.
If you could limit where the DB's eyes have to go, I mean, like man coverage, for example, their eyes are straight glued on their man. So in zone, if you could limit, where their eyes are having to go, where they're having to change vision, you'll see it one of the clips I have talking about with TJ Quinn and one of the guys getting behind him. It's just he never got to see him and turn around. It's just, the eyes are killing me right now.
Yeah, and to go along with what Keith was saying, I'll play devil's advocate here for a moment as well, and I'll mention some big news that happened literally 10 minutes before the game that we got word of, and that is Louisville was down Devin Neal, who decided to leave the program, which is now a very scary trend, in my opinion, for college football. They've got to figure out a way for this to not happen. I know it's not it's not as if this is like your star quarterback. For UNLV it was, but for Louisville, it's a safety who's in his final year. Clearly, with D'Angelo Hutchinson kind of emerging in that role, wasn't as if he was really getting the same level of snaps as he was, but it comes out that he's going to redshirt in portal. So you're down Devin Neal, then you're down Quincy Riley, who still doesn't go for the second straight week. Des Tell isn't playing. You have a number of other injuries that we've mentioned throughout the year. And how much of that is impacting them, that you have these second and third string guys having to step in? To me, one of the things I kept saying was we cannot continue to celebrate depth year after year, position after position, when these guys have to step in, and then all of a sudden it's your defense falls off a cliff. We can't keep doing this, right?
You see it at DB the most out of any room, in my opinion. It's just not having Quincy out there. You are clearly seeing that there is some form of a miscommunication amongst the corner to safety, almost on every single play. Talking about the hands being thrown up, the throwing, like
2017 vibes. When Jair went out, right? And then Tremaine Washington had to become the guy, and they just picked on him. And it wasn't as if he was extremely bad. The problem was nobody else anywhere else was doing anything, because it's third and fourth string guys stepping in, and they're allowing big plays, and they're continuing to be able to kind of spread the ball wherever they need to. And so I wonder if that has anything to do with some of the communication errors, but no excuses. You cannot lose this game at home. on a day in which you just have to have it. You have to have it. These games against the middle tier, or the right kind of getting to the top tier of the ACC, the Georgia Techs, the SMUs, the Boston Colleges, you cannot lose these games if you are a top dog in the ACC. You can't, and Louisville proves they're not. And when I say is the season over, I mean, I know we got a long show. We're going to dive into this, but realistically, to me, guys, if you boil it down, it is. It's over. And I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but the best opportunity here, and Keith, you know better than I, is it doesn't seem like a New Year's Six type of bowl, or any kind of New Year's bowl is on the table. So you're talking about the Pop-Tart bowl being the ceiling for this team now.
Hey, don't you disparage the Pop-Tart bowl. That'd be sick.
Do we get the Pinstripe Bowl again?
Yeah, but it's not the college football playoffs. Like, it's not. It's
Yankee Stadium. It's Yankee Stadium, though.
It's middle tier football, and I'm sorry, I love the Pop-Tart Bowl. It's great, but it's
Yankee
not
Stadium?
what we went into this season thinking this team would be. And for me, that makes the rest of the season like it's not. I'm going to be out there. I'm going to still watch every game and enjoy every single second, but I know in the bottom of my heart that the season's over. Like, meaningful football is over.
And I guess it depends on what your expectations were. I thought 8-4 was going to be a disappointing season, and frankly, I'd be impressed if we reach that mark at this point.
Same.
Like, I didn't expect college football playoff with this team strictly because the schedule we had to play against and the roster that we have compared to a lot of the opponents we still play. So I didn't want to drive down this road too early, but while we're here, table setting for the rest of the season, what are your guys' expectation for the team? We have 7 games left. We're 3-2. We play at Virginia, who's 4-1, and we always seem to struggle there, no matter what the team, no matter what happens, or hell, we even struggled with them last year here.
Yep.
Then Miami, who's coming off of a bye week before they play us. They're currently number 6 in the country, 5-0. Then we get a short week. Boston College is coming off an 8-day rest. We play at Chestnut Hill. Boston College, 4-2. That's a spooky game. Then immediately turn around and go at number 10 Clemson, who's also coming off a bye week, whose only loss on the season so far has been Georgia. Then we get a bye. Then we have to travel 3 time zones out west to play Stanford, who's given tough games to teams like Syracuse, who isn't a pushover. Then home for Pitt for our home finale, undefeated, ranked number 22 Pitt, who suddenly has an air raid offense. And then we go to Kentucky, who we haven't beaten 6 years. And frankly, like, they've looked much more impressive than us this season with wins over teams like Ole Miss and playing a team like Georgia close. So, like, personally, I think we'll be lucky to make a bowl game.
This is me, like, very, like, I'm thinking we beat Virginia, lose to Miami, beat BC, lose to Clemson, beat Stanford, beat Pitt, and toss up UK. That's like your idea. Like, that's your ideal, I think, now.
6-6, 7-5.
Yeah.
Which, no one would be happy with that.
But, I didn't say I'd be happy.
Oh, no. I'm not saying you wouldn't. But how many people are going to sort of talk themselves into being happy with it, especially if by the time the season's ending, oh, hey, we played Tennessee tough in basketball, and now we're in the Bahamas. Like,
yeah.
This staff had very high the fan base had high expectations for this staff when we brought him here. Like, he took a sweetheart discount coming on staff, but this is still a very handsomely compensated coaching staff.
That's
and
correct.
Frankly, 7 wins in the ACC, that's not acceptable.
No.
And the teams that you're playing against are only going to get better. Like, Dabo's finally getting his feet put to the fire out in Clemson. If he starts using the transfer portal, that's another school that we have to beat when we try to get high-end talent. Florida State, they're shit this year. That's not going to be the standard there. They're going to turn it around inevitably. Miami, appears to be back, as much as you don't want to admit it, Vince.
Yeah, the refs are
Miami
helping them
just
be back, man. Get out of here with that nonsense.
through raw talent acquisition,
Yes.
Miami appears to be back. SMU, they've got the boosters to bankroll a damn good P5 team or a P4 team. So the league's only getting harder. We missed our shot last year to win an ACC championship. It looks like we're missing a shot this year. And frankly, with how we're recruiting and the portal only going to be harder and harder to recruit against, I find myself more pessimistic towards the future.
It's not looking good. You can't fall back on your recruiting. Like, you've got guys coming in the next wave. You can't. And to be honest with you, as much as we've seen the development of Jamari Johnson this season, as much as we've seen the development of a Stanquan Clark, some of these guys, the rest of this 23 class and 24 class are sort of MIA. And that's got a mass exodus written all over it. You know what I mean? If things continue to go south this way.
So I'll pump the brakes a little bit on the mass exodus like Clarkson, unless we go out and get a transfer portal quarterback again. Looks like he has the reins for QB1 next season. And frankly, if the staff feels the need to go out and get another quarterback to replace him, might not be the worst thing if that doesn't happen. We've got a few freshmen from the 23 and 24 class who have gotten reps this season youth-wise. We've got young guys on the defense like Stanquan Clark, who's been getting playing time, Adonijah Green getting playing time. Aaron Williams has been injured otherwise with the way we've seen the secondary play, and I assume he would be getting playing time. So it's not like we don't have youth, and frankly, the fact we've kept the 23 class around this long, if we're going to recruit over their heads again this offseason, I get it, but I don't expect that.
Outside of Isaac Brown, I see no cornerstones at this point. I see nothing that you can bank the future of your program on. And I hate to be pessimistic, and I might still be sad from yesterday, but I'm just telling you, I don't see it. So for the rest of this season, though, we're not looking too much forward in advance, but looking for the next couple of weeks, they've got to get 2 out of their next 4. I think that's the most realistic thing, unless all of a sudden this team figures it out and they can beat a Miami or a Clemson. But in reality, you got to beat those teams that you got to beat, and that's Virginia and Boston College. And then from that point going forward, I mean, you're going to be lucky to get 2 out of that final 3, and I just don't see it as of things right now with Pittsburgh, Kentucky,
I
and
think
Stanford.
you got to get 3 out of those the next 4. I think to really swing everybody back in. I'm not saying he's sitting there with bad graces with anybody by any means.
No. But it's just not what we thought.
Just make everything taste and feel a lot better, I think you need to win 3 out of those 4. Otherwise, people are going to be sitting there, myself included, are going to be sitting here saying, what the fuck happened this year?
Well, what'd we run off the last guy for if this is still what we're getting served?
That's what I'm saying. So maybe it's not a them thing, it's an us thing in terms of the program, not fans. Us as in the program and the ceiling of this program. Maybe for now, maybe this is just what it is, unless somebody comes in with a drastically different approach.
Well, I think it's fucking stupid to have any of your expectation not be ACC championship, not be a national to make the playoffs every single year.
That's what I'm saying.
As a fan base or as a staff.
But I saw tweets and people saying that maybe every couple of years you have a good year, and that's the ceiling of what you are. Real quick, before we move on into Vince's game notes, I do want to get some of the reaction of folks from Twitter. We asked for takeaways following the game and what you all thought in terms of the big takeaways. And I thought there were some really interesting answers here that summarize some of the things that we've talked about, but also bring in some new points that we haven't. This one is from Josh Burdick at @Air_Burdick20. He said Shough, Brown, and Brooks are a problem for opposing defenses, and he's totally right. Right now, that's all you have. I mean, Colin Lacey was MIA. They ran some jet sweeps with him that really didn't go anywhere. They tried a couple of screen passes to get some of that east-west. It didn't happen. But Brooks is a problem, man. He's an absolute problem. Go ahead, Keith.
So just to piggyback on the screen comment, have we run a screen that's worked at all this year that wasn't called back for a penalty?
I was going to say the ones that have worked have been called back
the
for
double
a man
reverse.
downfield. Yeah.
The double reverse throwback screen is the only one that's actually succeeded, and that called back for a horse shit block below the waist. But,
right.
Yeah, the screens aren't working. I don't know why, but we obviously aren't showing what we need to show to get the screen game.
Well, I know exactly what. There's a play, one of them where it was an offensive lineman was supposed to go out and get an outside linebacker.
Mendoza, I know exactly which one you're talking about. Yeah,
well, at the same time, it's like the receiver set up the tackle. You know what I mean? Like, tighten your splits down on that if you know the tackle has to come out and make that block. Like, what are you doing? Like, Mendoza had no chance, but Mendoza didn't go where the guy was going to be. He went straight at the guy.
But at the same point in time, that also, you have to know your players as a coaching staff. You can't be calling tackle pull bubble screens when you know you have to time your O tackles 40 with a sundial. Like,
yeah, right.
You got to know your personnel.
I was just saying, just the wide receiver at least could have helped out a little bit in that situation. Could have helped himself. Could have helped Mendoza out. You never know. I'm not saying Mendoza could have got out there and cleaned the dude's clock, but if he would have tightened his splits down a little bit, at least a shoulder, you never know what a shoulder knot could do. That could just get him off balance. And
because I believe it was like a Mendoza, and I can't remember if it was, I think Collins also pulled out, because Collins got out, had his linebacker that he was on pinned in. So there was a hole. And I think it was a screen out to, I think that was one of the Lacey screens that went nowhere. There was a hole. I had to really catch myself before I used some very unprofessional phrasing that would have gotten taken out of context. There was an opportunity to be had there, but because we couldn't get the tackle out, or because the wideout was too far, probably a combination of the two, another missed opportunity.
Yeah. Back into the tweets here. Our defense gives up way too many big plays. I think that's just the most frustrating thing about this so far, is that defense was supposed to be locked down in a lot of ways, and they're not even close to that. Brock Travelstead is for sure within 40 yards. Brock Travelstead has a range. This is my man. Here's my take from the weekend. Brock Travelstead is an NFL kicker. He will be playing in the NFL next year, and here's why. You put that man from 40 to 59, he's knocking it down all day long. The problem is when you put him inside of 40, you get into the 38s, the 32s, the 27s, you start to get a little bit questionable. But you look at some of the kicks today, right? I think the Texans won on a 59-yarder. They kicked a 60-yarder in this game, if I'm not mistaken, or a 50-yarder from SMU. Brock now has the two longest kicks in Louisville football history. The man is clutch from 50 plus. 60, we were right there. They just needed a little half inch on that one, but my man's an NFL kicker.
If I'm drafting kickers to take, I'm taking SMU's kicker. Like,
that man's got a leg. Yeah, for sure.
I hit a classic reverse jinx on that third field goal attempt, because I was texted a couple of my buddies. It's like, it's going to be a 2-score game.
He almost got that up to us, man.
And he pulled it.
Yeah, he almost got it up to us. That was one of the. Honestly, you had all the momentum in the world when he missed that kick right there. I mean, it was bananas when that went down. Injuries are mounting up with questionable depth, and that's the thing. I keep talking about depth. This isn't outside of defensive line. I'm not seeing a whole lot of depth. I'm just not. It's not there. I don't think it exists on this football team. Moving on, we've got one from Alex Delgado. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say Vince put it best. Like, what you got for depth at a lot of positions is average, and average ain't going to cut it. Like, we're putting out a bunch of Jags.
We celebrate 30 names in the portal, but 14 of them aren't touching the football field. What do you really have? Alex Delgado says we continue to struggle with mobile quarterbacks week after week and have maybe the best in the sport coming to town in 2 weeks. Tempo offense by SMU had us off all day as well. Got to stop overthinking the offense, stretch the field. We have way too much talent not to. Defensively there, we're going to dive into this in just a second, but what are we not seeing on film to stop the quarterback up the middle? I mean, I think we're going to identify some of the challenges that this defense has, but
Ron English doesn't help himself, nor does TJ Quinn. Neither one of them they're not helping themselves at all. Either one.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more. This one from @Myers, a Card fan. He says, I don't know why we didn't go after linebackers in the portal. The only one we have is Stanquan Clark. And I think that's been really frustrating, knowing that TJ Quinn played so well last year up until the very end of the season. Really has struggled, and Dan Foster's not seeing the field. TJ Capers has been MIA since the interception in game one. I mean, there is no depth there at all. You brought in Juriente Davis. I don't think I've seen him play much. I'm not seeing some of these guys provide to the team what they should be and elevating them to be what we expected. Final one here from George Browning. He says, I love Coach Brohm, but not taking the 3 is a momentum killer, same as Notre Dame. And my God, Donald Chaney, this is not from him, but Donald Chaney, you're like, so far what I'm seeing about you is that you're really good at getting 1 yard until all you need is 1 yard, man. 3rd and 4th down. We just need 1 yard. 1 yard.
So two-part reply.
Freaking yard. I think I could get a yard.
No,
Oh, shit.
you die.
You
would die.
I might die, but I'll get the yard, man. Like, I die trying.
My thought on Donald Chaney, and this is just me. I'm going to spin this in the most positive light possible. He's got to be still hampered by his injury.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking too.
got
I'm on that boat.
Because
no
we
way.
watched him in spring ball. There's no way he's this
Two different
slow.
people.
Like, this isn't the Don Chaney we saw in March and April. So he's obviously playing hindered. And at some point, Brohm, have some faith in Kiwan. Give him some touches until Don Chaney gets right. Because this sure as shit ain't it. And it's obvious. It's obvious.
Is on those like 4th and 1s, those 3rd and 3s, those short plays where we are giving it right up the middle or running those option plays like against Notre Dame. It's like we talked about it last week, Keith. Like, why are we not running rubs? Why are we not running mesh routes? These concepts to, run guys into each other and just get guys out in wide open space. I mean, or something quick or something right at the sticks. Just to get the first down. Get the first down.
If you're so damn determined to run the ball, run a zone running scheme, run stretches, play to the strengths of your O-line. Because I pumped the tires on the O-line a lot. The biggest critique I had, they're not road graders. This is not a power offensive line. This is a pass blocking and a stretch zone blocking O-line. I don't get why we're not running stretch plays. Just move laterally. Let your running backs find and hit holes, which, Don, I love you. I'm going to stick up for you. There was one play. You had about 2 holes you could have hit on a stretch play. And instead, he proceeded to kick it outside, and gained like 3 or 4 yards when all you had to do was hit a hole and you had 6 or 7.
Right.
Oh my, just immensely frustrating that it seems like the staff is damn determined to do what they want rather than to do what the team is best suited to do.
Right. Yes. Over and over and over again. Last week I said the biggest issue I had was personnel. Not as big of an issue this week, but man, when it hurt you, it hurt you really bad. I just didn't understand it in a lot of ways. So all that sets up transitioning into the greatest segment in sports. And it's a little sad these days. I feel like we're transporting back a couple of years and we're just reliving. Yeah. It'd be nice to win and it'd be nice to have some good film, but we're going to dive into it anyways, because this is where we learn the most about the team. So Vince, I hand it over to you. Let's dive into Vince's game notes.
It's time to get down to brass tacks. It's Vince's game notes with Vincent Lococo.
Forgot about my bad graphic.
Yep. There you go.
But the common phrase they like to use is put on tape. And here we are again with just a frustrating tape session to go over with the guys. We have starting off, this was literally the first play of the game. It is a empty set right here, a 3x2 set. Obviously expecting some form of a pass. You're going to see both of these receivers gain ground and run essentially a switch route. And cut the next clip for me. You see right there, TJ Quinn, I believe, was supposed to shucked his guy out to the outside, but at the same time, he didn't get his head around quick enough to see that there was a guy coming behind him. The common rule at defense is if 2 goes out, 1's coming back in to replace that. So he should have seen 2 go out and immediately shifted his eyes to number 1 coming back inside behind him and used what they like to call a baseball turn, which is what Ja'Cory Brooks used about 2 weeks ago to make that amazing catch down the sidelines. Hit the next one for me, Keith. So it's not just him being at an improper depth and not seeing his guy, but also the safety over top. Just look at all this cushion right here that's being gifted to the receiver. I mean,
that's 5 yards.
It's an easy completion, pitch and catch at that point. Hit the next one for me, Keith. We're going to try and keep these going. So this is the SMU's first touchdown. You'll see the entire offensive line for SMU is going to the left right there, following that arrow. And I have the linebacker and safety circled right here because from this angle, it looks like they are damn near stacked, if not, splitting the foot of each other. So hit the next clip for me, Keith. You see where the guys end up. So ball is snapped. You see where they end up, and you see where this running back has a two-way go. He can either take it to the left and go score, or he can take it to the right and go score. What I didn't circle right here was the outside linebacker closest to us to the boundary. And whenever we go to the end zone view, you will see why he should have been circled. It kind of wouldn't have flowed well with all the lines and stuff. So hit the next clip for me, Keith. Go to the next one after this. This was just to reiterate that they were stacked over top of each other. But you see this gap right here. You see that this is pre-snap, or not really pre-snap. The ball is snapped, but still, you should be tighter to this right here to eliminate that space. Keep your outside arm free, like they always talk to you about. Punch with the right and keep that outside free. At the same time, look at where Stanquan Clark is lined up, and look at how he's lined up. The ball snapped, and you all have watched hundreds of snaps of football. Have you ever seen Ray Lewis in this kind of football stance? Have you ever seen Brian Urlacher in this kind of football stance? Like, look at Patrick Willis and see if you've ever seen him in this kind of football stance. And
he's leaning. No. And the frustrating thing is he's leaning and he's washing the opposite way that the O-line is moving. Like, exactly. The O-line is all moving to their left, and Stanquan, like, if we're looking offense going towards the end zone, Stanquan's washing to the right, just washing himself away.
He's doing the job for the offensive line. This is stuff that, like, a guard and a tackle would love to see. Hit the next one for me, Keith. You can really see it right here. Look at this gap that is being provided by the outside linebacker and Stanquan and the safety stacking over top of each other. In this clip right here, the guard getting up to Stanquan actually blocks Stanquan and the safety. So he's taking 2 for 1 on this play.
And MJ Griffin.
Go ahead, Keith.
I was going to say, MJ Griffin, like we talked about Stanquan. No, Griffin's not going to skate either. He washes himself over a solid, probably 4 or 5 yards, just taking himself out. So
completely out of play. And I get what he's trying to do right here. I think MJ is trying to cover this other gap right here, the two-way go that I was pointing out. I assume he has this. I think it's a B gap. It might be A gap. I'm not sure at this point. But I assume he has the right side, and Stanquan would have the left right there, but neither one of them is making a clear indication of what they're trying to do. They're not gap sound, basically. So hit the next one, Keith. I think that might be it for this one.
I believe that is on this play.
Okay, so we got...
Spoiler alert, easy touchdown.
If we could have freaking... I don't think he ended up scoring on it. No, he didn't. I was talking about the switch route, first play of the game from SMU, and here we are. We're running a switch route with Amari Huggins Bruce being the inside number 2 receiver. It's just a great play. Probably one of the positives. I got to throw positives in here. Jacob says I'm too negative, so hit the next one for me. Okay, so this is a great play right here by Ja'Cory Brooks. Let me get to it. I got you. So they're in a sweet set for here, and Ja'Cory's running basically a drag. Running a drag across the field, and Shough's going to end up scrambling out to the left. Go ahead and hit the next one for me, Keith. So the dotted lines are showing you where he's going to end up throwing the ball. And so Brooks goes all the way down, runs his drag, and then breaks back, seeing that Tyler's scrambling out. It's perfect textbook scramble drill by Ja'Cory Brooks. 2 weeks in a row where, the play against Notre Dame, and then now this week where he's, found a way to get open in these types of scramble drills, which is very encouraging to see whenever we get down in a situation like this. We haven't had this in a number of years where somebody can get open like this in a red zone type situation. Stay friendly to the quarterback, as Brew likes to say. But by saying friendly to the quarterback, you guys see what I'm saying by that, where Tyler's shoulders are and where in relation to where Ja'Cory Brooks is lined up. I mean, it's an easy pitch and catch throw for him right there.
Yeah, but honestly, it looks like we have another wide receiver in the back of the end zone as well, doing the same thing. So good plus grade for the wide receiving core on this play.
Exactly. This next clip right here is not going to be so plus for everybody involved. Uh, guy goes in motion right here. You're looking at the tight end coming towards us that's going in motion. And what he's doing right there is obviously getting a gauge of whether it's going to be man or zone. At some point in his motion, he takes a peek over at the DBs to get a gauge on who all is coming down, how they're rotating, and stuff like that. But I didn't get it in the snapshot. What you can see is the safety at the top of the screen is coming down. To me, that's indicating that it's some kind of man coverage, right? And he's going to realize that as the play's happening, the lines, I hope they don't get too confusing for you all. It's basically, they're faking the dive right there, and that other running back's leaking out behind the tight end that's motioning, and they're rolling out with this play.
He's
Hit
about
the next clip for me.
2 steps away from
Go
shit. That's what it is right there.
Exactly. And I think our heads are in the way of where I have circled, but if you could see, yeah.
Dynamite gameplay right here, baby.
There we go. But it's the leverage. They had him out. They had him beat by leverage from the get go of it, and they even have another guy open right here. If you guys can see the line I have drawn, that's basically. It's not bad eyes, but it's bad angles at the same time.
Which is almost worse.
Yeah,
because that's just bad instincts.
Exactly. And it's very frustrating. There really shouldn't be that space either between that second running back coming out. So, bad play overall. Go next clip for me.
They hit that play 10 times.
I believe that's RJ Maryland cooking us on a wheel route. Shocker.
Yes. He goes for, I think, like 30-something. Yeah.
It's coming up. So right here we have Cat Blitz. So I just have it circled so we all can get the gist of how this play is happening. Let me see, where am I at? Yep, hit the next one for me. Yep. So the LBs get washed out inside. TJ's about 9.5 yards away from the ball carrier at this point, is what I kind of counted out. And it's like, why are we this far off the ball? And why have you not moved? If you go back to the first clip, Keith, look at where he's at. Splitting the end, right? You would say that like the start of the end, where you would be drawing an end, probably the first part of that letter, and then hit the next clip. Hasn't moved. Has not moved.
This is clear as day to me. This is overcompensating from the first time he had one sail over his head. To me, from what I'm seeing right here.
Well, even then, Jacob, like his eyes aren't that great for it.
But he's at least like I got my territory.
It's every linebacker, if you watch them at any level, they're taking 2 or 3 read steps forward before they do anything. And to me, it looks like he took steps backwards if he did anything. You know what I mean?
And
so
go ahead,
Keith.
The thing that pisses me off the most about this play is this is the quarterback. This is the quarterback's first touchdown run of the game. The fake handoff off of the motion jet.
I don't think he scored.
Doesn't even block.
He doesn't score on this, Keith. He doesn't score on this.
Oh, no. Pardon me. Yeah, he does not score on this one. But he fakes the motion, and the wideout doesn't even block. Like, he just sort of does the, fake ball carrier tuck and then doesn't get to the second level while the quarterback just immediately trails him because the hole's there. Like, I think this is a play. He screwed up not handing the ball off, but was athletic enough to capitalize because the hole was there.
And to your point, Keith, like you just said, that ball carrier didn't come out to TJ and that linebacker. I assume it's TJ. It looks like TJ. He didn't even come out to lead block him. This quarterback just ran straight past all our defenders. Those 3 guys behind him were all just ran straight past.
And despite a 9-yard head start, we're on to the next slide. Quarterback's 2 yards ahead of the linebacker in question, running downfield now.
Yes, exactly. All right, next clip. We're all whited out. There we go. So this would be what we called this under SAT was a pirate concept. It was one of my favorite plays to signal because it was just like 2 pirate hooks like this. And for whatever reason, to me, that makes sense for the play calling because this looks like a post and an out to me whenever I'm signaling it, if you think about it. So it's a nice concept, and I wanted to highlight this for Tyler for a reason. So keep this picture in your head that there's going to be a post and an out right here, right? So hit the next clip for me, Keith. Obviously, the first read for you right here would be the touchdown with the post. So you see Tyler, boom, head straight looking towards the post, feet are towards the post. This is exactly what you want to see. Next clip, Keith. You see him flip to his second read number 2, and he hits the out route. It's stuff that, Jack struggled with, Malik struggled with, quarterbacks we've had in the previous have struggled with this. And it's awesome to see Tyler be able to sit there in the pocket when given time and be able to actively go through his progressions where you can actually see him flip his feet, where you can actually see him turn his head. It's cool and encouraging to see, hopefully, as the season goes on. The next one.
Real quick, just one thing I just want to throw out there is Isaac Brown is second in receptions on this team. And the reason why he is that is because Tyler Shough will find him, even if it's his third or fourth read, and dump the ball down. And Isaac is great at making a play. It's just beautiful to watch.
To your point, Jacob, he's got 2 guys, right? I think that might be Isaac right there and another guy out wide that he can get to.
Jamari, I think, is also on the out. But, very mature quarterback. And as much as I hated him for it, like, very similar process to, like, Tom Brady. Never got stupid pushing the ball downfield and killed teams because he knew when to check it down and had exceptional athletes to check it down too. Yeah. So,
right.
Yeah.
All right.
We got a quarterback, boys.
The next one for me. This is one of the trap plays. I agree with Keith that we should definitely be doing a lot more zone stuff. I think that would suit this offensive line a lot better. But this trap play right here turned out to be a good one for us. This guard is coming. I guess it would be the guard to the boundary. Yep, guard to the boundary. If you are looking at the defensive side, is coming around to trap. 4, I believe, that linebacker or other whatever twist is going on. And then the center is going out to 92. Hit the next one for me, Keith. Now, this right here is picture perfect what Richard Owens, gets him fired up on Sundays coming in to see. He loves seeing stuff like this. You see both. I mean, it is a simple track right there for the running back. This is textbook. If we can get more of this throughout the season, we're going to bust a lot longer runs as long as these receivers start blocking downfield to help that. So this was encouraging to see. Keith, you got anything to add on this before we move on to the next one? I know you're an O-line guy.
Fantastic job. It looks like the defense, it's sort of like a picture-perfect opportunity because the defense kind of plays into our hands. Good job by the left tackle, Monroe Mills, of not giving up the inside on the stunt. 9 washes himself out over the play, which is the 3-technique D tackle on the right side of the defensive line. If we're looking on the defensive side, sort of washes himself out of the play. And then good job getting up to the second level by the left guard, which I believe Michael Gonzalez gets up to the second level. Good job by Niagara, just getting the hips turned, keeping the one tack out of the play. Austin Collins does a great job getting out, sealing the play. All around, good job by the offensive line here.
Yep, bad about the alarm. But
that's okay. That's all right.
Keeping y'all on your toes.
The audience gets a little bit of behind the scenes.
Wake up. ESPN did this for me. ESPN did the circling for me right here, guys. If you notice how perfect the circle was, this is way better than my circle.
I think your circles are better than that, dude. You got to give yourself some credit. That's a weak circle.
But my notes for this one are let tackle just gets his hands beat, plain and simple. So Keith, roll the film. That's what I have on this. Yep. You can see right there from clip to clip. Go back and forth for me. Go back to the start. And then this one, and then start, and then again.
It's the first sack of the game on Tyler Shough, right?
And then we go to the next clip. Yes, right there. So it is just a straight one-on-one. Oh, one more clip because this really bothers. This is what really bothers me. So go back and forth between these two.
Bro, I watched this play 5 times.
He's watching his quarterback get sacked and then has the audacity to turn his ass around and look like nothing fucking happened. Get the fuck off the fucking field. That's ridiculous, man.
My gosh, that's amazing.
Like,
as an O-lineman,
Oh,
this isn't even a new guy for him because this was Monroe Mills before he got hurt. You've been with this guy for years at this point. And yeah, you get your ass beat inside, which one, what the hell is the footwork? 2, that's a sick downhill snowboarding pose though. If we're doing that, you're set. The only reason Tyler Shough didn't get his head taken off is because the edge ran into Michael Gonzalez, who is engaged with the inside man. Then he turns, looks, sees the D lineman get his hands up. I believe Shough pumps and then holds on to the ball and then turns around like someone else is going to come, despite the fact he's watching his quarterback get ragdolled.
That's what makes me sick, dude. Go pick
This
him
is-
up. Go do something.
My note.
This-
Can I redraw my note on this, please? I have to. Right. First thing is the sacker Elijah Roberts immediate L's down. Great form on the L's down too. He goes from an up to down. I mean, just beautiful format. My daughter was sitting here watching it and started working on it.
I wonder if anybody's going to clip that of you. You might want to.
Yeah, it was. And then worked Monroe Mills, but tried to act like he was blocking and didn't know that there was a sack. I just I watched it over and over again. Like my man is like, it's like, you bump into like a vase and knock it over, and then you try to act like you weren't even around it. Like, I don't know who did that.
Dude, oh my God.
We're really banging on Monroe Mills here. None of the other offensive tackles were any better. I wanted to squeeze this in at the beginning. I'll get it now. So Matt McGavick, friend and co-host of the program, or I guess contributor to the program, on Louisville on SI. Give that a follow at Louisville on SI on Twitter. Put out the Pro Football Focus grades for the offense and defensive players for the game. And you want to guess who the 4 lowest graded offensive players were?
Couldn't have been
The 4 offensive tackles who took snaps for Louisville.
Yeah.
No one else, just the tackles. Just
Rough.
Catastrophically bad performance from all of them. So yeah, Mills, we're banging on you here. It wasn't just him. Every tackle was bad. Every single one of them.
Yeah. Hit the next play. This next one, I believe, is going to be where are we at with this? Hit the next clip so I can figure out where we're going. Okay, yes. So this was a play where I initially was looking at it and I was ready to go in on TJ. I'm like, what are you doing? You barely move. Again, he barely moves out of his stance if you go back and forth between the two clips.
Yeah, because this is the 60-yard RJ Maryland touchdown run. Or not RJ Maryland. 60-yard touchdown run for Kevin Jennings.
Yeah. Third and 2 right here.
Now you guys see 44 is motioning across the field right here for SMU, right? So hit the next clip for me. Now we have 2 guys guarding that same guy that motioned, and I'm so happy we do for the 60-yard touchdown run. I think the safety that ends up leaving to go across with the motion right here just left TJ Quinn on an island and said good luck. I think there's a guy that should have been over there in that gap. It looks like there should be. I mean, to me, this looks like a mix-up amongst the safeties and not so much on TJ Quinn and the linebackers. I was ready to get on the linebackers' ass for this, but, I mean, just keep watching it. It doesn't make sense because why would that DB play down? If it's some form of a man coverage, he would have kept running with him all the way across. And if it's some form of a zone, they would have passed it off and did what they call a yo-yo, where one guy goes down and one guy goes up whenever the motion crosses the middle of the field. So I don't know. It was very confusing. It was very head scratching.
Lack of execution.
Lack of execution. So hit the next one for me, Keith.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, this is a great one right here. This is just simple one-on-one. I will let the camera roll. Go ahead, Keith. Hit the next one. One-on-one pass rush right here. Long arms him, sticks it right in the middle of his chest. This right here is photo worthy for every D end. I mean, this is textbook pass rush. I mean, it's ugly and bad.
That's
and
just
right
terrible
here,
pass pro posture.
Keith, yes, move our heads on the second clip. Go to the second clip.
On the second clip? Got you.
Yeah, move our heads. Yep, and go to the. So look at his feet.
He's off the ground.
He's
getting tossed out the club.
He looks like that's Bane right there, lifting him up, man.
Damn near both feet off the ground right here in this clip. I mean, you don't teach that under any sir. He didn't learn that in Mighty Might football.
That piss poor footwork.
Exactly. Piss poor footwork, piss poor execution. Run the next one, Keith. Okay, we are right here, and this is going to be a big Dwayne Martin play.
Oh yeah,
he just straight. He brings the boom on this, as AJ and Big Justice would like to say. So hit the next clip.
Thump.
I mean, just right there, just a perfect lane for, I believe that was Isaac to just
Isaac Brown. Yeah.
Yeah, cut right off of him. I mean, it was textbook. Go ahead, Keith. You had something to say right there?
Oh, yeah, no, a fantastic seal of the outside. Like, good job. It's a wash down. So O linemen are coming down. He gets up and just blows up his defender coming off the edge at 30. And yeah, creates an opening, gives us a big gash play. I wish we had the video of this one because he just rocks this guy.
He blows the dude up. Like, I know we love to joke with and joke about the whole fullback thing, like ha ha ha. But like on Saturday, it seemed as if every single time Dwayne Martin was on the field, there was some form of positive yards happening.
Yeah.
Be it giving us an extra guy in pass pro, be it a play like this where he is just taking a dude and throwing him out of the damn club. I mean, I know it ain't sexy, but if we have to have a freaking fullback on the field 24/7, then have him on the damn field 24/7. If
That's sexy to me, damn it.
That's very sexy. That's what do you mean? That's the epitome of sexy right here. But here's what I want to say on this one. Do you know who loves Dwayne Martin? I love Dwayne Martin. You love Dwayne Martin. Keith loves Dwayne Martin. But Louis Riddick loves Dwayne Martin. My man was drooling over the play of Dwayne Martin. I think that we took one step closer to Dwayne, a traditional fullback, as Louis called him on the broadcast, finding his way onto the Loman Trophy nominee list. I mean, let's make it happen at this point, Barstool. And the part of my take, guys, what are we doing?
I know this is the it's if you're getting called a prototypical type fullback, there's no reason that you shouldn't be, especially when you're making hits like this. And if anything, he's an agile fullback as well.
I'm going to need Juice or Ingold to retire so this man can get on a roster.
Facts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Facts. Next one for me, Keith. I think we're getting towards the end right here. So we mentioned that play earlier where the tight end motioned out and essentially it was a post with what looked to be like an out and up. Well, this is essentially the same play, just out of a different formation. I believe the number 3 receiver ran like a hitch or something like that. Nothing really crazy, probably just trying to occupy space. Hit the next clip for me, Keith. You'll see where exactly we lost this route at. Right there. And I mean, if you go back a clip as well. Sorry, I know I'm going back and forth on everyone right here.
Oh, you're all good.
But you can see the leverage with the linebacker. Yes, you want to be on the inside, but it seems like he might be a little bit too far on the inside. And then if you hit the next clip, you can see that he probably attacked that inside shoulder or the outside shoulder of the DB, broke it out, and then hit the next one for me. There's just way too much space, and he ends up making a easy pitch and catch play down the sideline. But it's pretty much the same play they ran earlier with the motion, with the tight end, where they got it out to him out there, and we were out leveraged. And I'm saying the same thing. I'm repeating myself a lot. I could have done that with a lot of plays this game.
So I do want to give Rhett Lashley some credit with some of the things he drew up here, because he's done a phenomenal job also using misdirection and creating moving pockets to give his quarterback extra time, which is something they weren't doing with Preston Stone early in the year, because this isn't an exceptional pass blocking unit that SMU has. He's been in his bag just creating opportunities to buy as much time as possible for his receivers who are damn good athletes to get open downfield and to make plays. So I'll give a tip of my cap there. Louisville didn't execute, but Rhett Lashley has done a great job putting his players in a position to succeed.
Yeah, well, and the film is out now on how you take a mobile quarterback and make them successful against Louisville. There's a lot of them. I'll just say that. So, Vince, I'll hand it back over to you. I know we got a couple more here.
Yeah, it's just the last couple plays. I wanted to highlight before this happened. There was a play that I was trying to get on there. I couldn't find it again. Just didn't say it correctly before I sent it over to you, Keith. It was a dragon concept is what we like to call it under SAT, which is a 3-by-1 basically. Remember when Ja'Cory Brooks caught the corner route late in the game? It was a corner. He made a great catch over top of a guy. He ended up scoring on the play. Well, that play in particular is something that they like to call probably a cop route on the inside, which means corner or post. So he was reading the leverage of the safety, and that was just a great route by Ja'Cory. I couldn't get it on the file, but right here we have the fumble, guys. Plain as day for everybody to see. To me, right here, the angle looks like the football is out.
Yep.
Looks like there's nothing really touching the ground.
Nope.
If you hit the next clip, for me,
same time frame.
Looks like there's room right there. The ball is out. I mean, there's 2 clips right there. It's got to be indisputable evidence, right?
Exactly. You call the fumble on the field. Undisputable evidence. It's got to be clear as day.
And that's 2 weeks in a row where we've had the announcer and the official in Charlotte or wherever the hell he's at saying, "Yeah, I don't know how they got that call on the field." Essentially, it doesn't make sense, man.
we ragged him a little bit earlier, but I believe the fumble was forced by, I believe, Stanquan punching downward on this ball, and I think
Mario
that might be
McDonald.
T-Mac
Yeah.
ripping combined with Stanquan punching. So, and this is late in the game, desperation attempt play to try and get a stop to get us the ball back in a tie game. This is good effort here, and it's a shame that officials are taking that away again.
Yeah, frustrating. This was frustrating. And the next one for me, this is going to be the last pick for me. Another one where ESPN helped me out by having the circle already drawn for me. But it was a push-pull. I know Keith talked about it earlier. He said this is the only play where I had a gripe because Tyler had about 3 seconds to throw the ball and he should have got it off. But my counter to that is that the offensive line should have been blocking because it was 1st and 10 and we fucking needed we just needed a first down, man. And getting sacked is not what you want in this situation and under any circumstance.
Can't have it.
Getting beat like this is not – I mean, you're one-on-one right here, man. You're one-on-one, and you just got beat. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, excuses, or anything. And even there's multiple guys that look like they could have got beat. If you look up the field, tackle up there looks like tackle at the top of the screen looks like he might get beat on a spin move coming back inside just based off his base.
Yeah, he's going to be eating dirt here in a second. No doubt.
Yeah, just based off his base. So for me, that's all I got on game notes was very frustrating, very angering with a lot of things. Man, it would have been a lot long. I'd probably still be doing game notes right now if the full game was out because, I mean, just even with the condensed game, I was getting a lot of stuff and I could have gotten a lot more stuff. And it's, like I said, it's a lot of repetitive stuff. Like linebackers getting washed down, like linebackers barely moving, DB's not in the right spot, bad communication, offensive linemen just getting beaten one-on-one blocks. Man, I mean, like, where were the tight ends this game? I feel like, Mark Redmond had an all right game. Jamari had
the
an all
fourth
right
down
game.
conversion. They just didn't throw the ball to him enough, and that's where I was going to go next as we wrap it up here. I mean, my 2 big takeaways from this offensively was, one, they finally got Amari Huggins-Bruce going. I think he might find himself a nice little role in the offense. Part of that was what was available to him versus what they decided to take away from Colin Lacey at times, but still, I think he had more targets than anybody outside of Isaac Brown and Ja'Cory Brooks. The second thing is just not enough short passing game in this offense right now. I mean, between late in the game, you saw a beautiful curl route to Mark Redmond on the first down conversion. You have a couple of nice dump downs to Jamari Johnson. Like, why are we not doing that?
In 3rd and 3, man. Like 3rd and 3, 4th and 1. Like, wow, just get to the sticks. Get to the sticks and get the first down and live to see another day. It doesn't have to be the cutest shit in the world. Just freaking get it.
So it's ugly, and they got to clean it up quick. And I don't know what that looks like. You've got Virginia this weekend, and you've got Miami, as we mentioned. And then the road continues on, and you've got to figure out a way to quickly be able to stop the bleeding with running quarterbacks and figure out how to get this defense patched back together. Maybe you'll get some help with Quincy Riley coming back and a Des Tailback, but man, there's a lot of things that are just not pretty right now. And that's another segue into the next segment, which is going to last 2 seconds here. Sack King race update. No sacks. What are we doing here? We're slipping and falling, trying to go far too outside. Guys just getting hands in their throats, just getting thrown to the ground like rag dolls, and then slammed a second time once they're already on the ground. It's just all around right now. The pass rush is, they're getting there. Not happening.
I'm going to propose a challenge to those guys. I'm tired of hearing about double team complaining. I'm tired of hearing about you getting cold. I'm tired of it. If you guys are as good as you say you are, then go get a sack.
Get sacked.
It's like quit, like you said, Jacob, quit running past people and slipping and sliding. I get you're trying to run the hoop and everything, but you're not running the hoop correctly. You don't do that in practice. You don't do that when you are doing – whenever you're doing that drill, that's not how you run that drill. It just baffles me, man. Like, I'm sick and tired of hearing people complain for others about freaking double teams and other things. It's just like, go make a damn play. I'm tired of hearing about it. If y'all are as good as you say you are and as good as we're claiming to be, go make a play.
Yeah. All right.
Well, so I think part of the reason for the sack drought is even since
can we call this blue balls? Sorry.
But part of the reason for this drought is we haven't had a lead hardly since what? Third quarter, Georgia Tech was the
That's a
last
good point.
lead we've had,
That's a really
if I
solid
remember
point.
correctly, because
Yeah.
we trailed
Yeah.
Notre Dame the whole game except for the opening drive. And then we've trailed all of the SMU game, if I remember correctly. So
Yeah. Tied for a
we're
little bit, but yeah.
we're
Never
not
had a
playing
lead.
with a lead, so we're not forcing anyone to try and push the ball downfield. And short intermediate passings, how we get beaten. Then, yeah, we've played mobile quarterbacks, so that makes it more difficult. And especially this quarterback, who's probably the slipperiest one we've played so far this season. But
They did call a sack on the field. They put the sack graphic up. They called a tackle for loss a couple minutes later. Matt wants to always tell me when I'm wrong on that. But look, when you're in a game, it is so hard to evaluate what is a sack. When they put that damn graphic up, I went fucking ballistic. I'm like, let's go. We got a sack finally.
Around here.
First time sacker. We're ready to roll. Nope, tackle for loss, man. Freaking line of scrimmage. So yeah, Sack King update.
Get you every time.
There's no helmet stickers, no game balls, nothing. Go back and let's do better. No. You gotta go run suicides or bleachers or something. Do some push-ups, up downs. I don't know. Do something. So anyways, that will end all of the recap. Frustrating week, but we move on 1 week season. And before we do that, we've got to go around and we've got to find out what's going on with the rest of the ACC in hopes that maybe somewhere it's maybe a little bit worse for someone. So I set all of that up to hand it over to you, Keith. Take us around the ACC in 60 seconds, my friend.
yes, it was quite the weekend in ACC football. We started on Friday night. We ended at about 2:30 in the morning on Sunday. It was quite the weekend.
Is that the latest game ever in the end, like in time for the ACC? It's got to be conference game.
Conference game for it has to be because we don't play pack time.
Right.
I don't know if an ACC team's ever gone and taken that Hawaii test, so I'm not going to say ever for any game, but yeah, I would assume that's
Sign me up for that away trip any day of the week.
Yeah, 10 o'clock, 10:30 kickoff time is certainly something in the ACC.
Where's Lococo? He's not back at the plate. He said something about just sticking around here and laying out beach chairs for the rest of his life.
Going to the zoo. Yeah, exactly.
Buying a hut, going to the Hawaii Zoo.
So, from Friday to in the wee hours of Sunday morning, it's time to pack all that in. It's time to go around the ACC in 60-ish seconds. You know what the U in UNLV stands for? Not undefeated after Syracuse got done with them. You don't expect to walk into the Carrier Dome and walk out with a dub. Cards versus SMU. Hey, look, a distraction. Did you know 7 top 25 teams lost this week? Boston College gets Castellanos back, but Virginia gets 24 unanswered to get the home win. Parents, are you prepared to talk to your children about 5-0 Pittsburgh? Eli Holstein accounts for 450-plus yards of offense as they beat UNC 34-24. It was a sellout at Carter Finley Stadium, and Wake Forest, on the strength of 1, 2, 3 Demon Claiborne touchdowns, upset the Wolfpack 34-30. Stanford, Vatek, if both of you could figure out who you are, that'd be great. Hokies bounce back after a tough loss. Clemson runs over the speed bump known as FSU. Georgia Tech tossed Duke out of that undefeated club like they were the security at the Magic City Lounge. And finally, it was a game across 3 time zones. Berkeley hosted College Game Day. They dug themselves into a 25-point deficit. And still, the Miami Hurricanes stared down the Calgorithm and came back long after the East Coast was asleep to win 39-38.
You mentioned and still, Keith. That brought into, I know we're wrapping things up here, but my Saturday wasn't all doom and gloom. I got to see Alex Pereira basically dribble another man's head off of the canvas. I mean, it was insane. This guy named Khalil Roundtree, I've never seen take this much. I watched a lot of UFC, but I haven't seen this much active damage taken in a live fight in a long time. I mean, to the point to where if that dude sneezed, his eye might have popped out.
Speaking of which, I don't want to derail as we kind of wrap the show up here, but I will say that while you were watching UFC, I also have found myself really digging into something fighting wise. And I spent my Saturday night in this, and that is Mr. McMahon, the documentary series on Netflix.
So
It
good.
is
Seen it
so
twice.
good. I'm learning. I was a huge wrestling fan growing up, like huge wrestling fan. I'm sure all of us were. But to find out all these stories about like what Vince did to people's titles and just like all this stuff, it's
So
been
I'm
so
gonna put
awesome,
you
man.
on. I'm gonna put you on another one. It's been out for a long time, but Dark Side of the Ring. I don't know if you've seen any of those by chance, because there's a
No.
lot of stuff that they didn't hit. Dark Side of the Ring is very wrestler specific stuff, but you'll like it a lot. It covers a lot of the stuff that guys went through. One thing they didn't touch on in that documentary was the plane ride from hell, which I was very surprised about.
Oh,
I don't know if you
God.
know about that much. Yeah. So
Oh,
they didn't
boy.
touch on that at all. Jacob, that's your
Interesting.
homework. Google.
Okay,
Google
yeah, I was gonna say I don't
plane
know what
ride
that
from
is.
hell
So
after this.
I'll look into that. And while we do, we'll quickly dive into Louisville's next opponent. Saturday, they travel to Charlottesville to face Virginia. The Cavaliers are 4-1. Pull off a surprising victory against Boston College with them being back at full strength. You know, a little bit of a shock, I think, to some. But outside of that victory, Virginia really doesn't have much to hold claim to. Their wins are over Richmond, a very, very average to bottom of the tier, Wake Forest, and then Coastal Carolina. And so this is a team we're really not sure how good they are. I mean, again, the Boston College win will kind of give you some idea directionally that they're maybe better than what they thought they were. But still, Louisville will have its hands full with Anthony Calandra, who is, in my opinion, I've said it several times, he's like Johnny Manziel. I forget what the term I used last year, not light, because that's not even close to comparable, but just a small little football guy who runs around and makes plays, right? That's what Anthony Calandra is. And look, I would not be mad, if Louisville went out this offseason and maybe Calandria found himself in the portal, like if there was a connection there. I don't know. I'm just saying, but I'm a big fan of his game. I know he's a risk taker, but this last year he was dynamic and really was the reason Virginia was in that game late until the Amari Huggins-Bruce touchdown. So he will certainly be looking to take advantage of this defense. I think he's going to probably be locked in on film this week, knowing the opportunity for him as a dual threat quarterback and what's there. They've got a much better running game this year. And then Malachi Fields, their star receiver, has been dynamic. I mean, he's been fantastic. I think he has 2 games with 2+ touchdowns, or at least 2 touchdowns in a game this season. Has been a really nice replacement for Washington from last season. Malik Washington, I believe is his name. So Virginia's got some weapons. They've got a better run game than they've had. Defensively, I'm not really sure what they're about. I haven't watched too much. Statistically, it looks like they've tendency to give up some points, but at the same time, there are games where they've given up, as little as 13, 14. So we'll see what comes of it. Keith, you watch much more of this team. What are just your very quick thoughts on Virginia and the challenge that Louisville has facing them?
So, I mean, you touched on a lot of the offensive side. Anthony Calandria, never afraid to make a play. The kid's electric, and I think with a little harnessing, he'll grow to become a significant problem. Malachi Fields, not just as a passer, they're using him in the running game as well. A little bit of a 2-headed monster at running back, Kobe Pace and Xavier Brown. Xavier Brown, by the way, had a phenomenal game. Not this most recent game, but I believe it was against Coastal Carolina. I think he rushed for 171 yards. So he's a player that can pop off a big play and hurt you. Defensive side of the ball, they create more fumbles than you'd expect. They're averaging a fumble per game played this season. So they forced 5 fumbles so far on the year, recovered 4, and then few interceptions is that. One thing I am happy about with this last game, Louisville, the only turnover was fourth quarter desperation interception. So I'm not really going to, because it was 4th down anyway, I'm not going to really count that against Tyler. So he's got 2 interceptions on the year that don't really count.
Yeah, that's exactly right. 2
So
picks, not even his fault.
Ball security.
What we saw last year.
Yeah. Ball security with the running backs. And It's just a spooky one, man, because Virginia's a weird place. Like, it never seems to fail. We always make things more difficult than need be.
Yeah.
So I hope we can slay that boogeyman, because to make a bowl game, this is one of the games I feel like we have to have.
Better win.
And if this one slips, things are going to be real bad. So
we'll be back to being able to talk to each other across the stadium by the end of the year, if that's the case, man. We're not too far off from that with a couple
Beer
more
lines
losses,
were pretty
but-
short on Saturday.
I should need to find the beer lines you were at, man, because I waited far more than I should have. But we'll see. Louisville goes on the road. Obviously, so far on the road this year, not good. 0-1, losing the game at Notre Dame. So hopefully they can find a little bit of magic of traveling, maybe get away, lock in, and find a way to bounce back. The season is certainly not over in terms of the games that's left to be played and the amount of time and the ability to have a winning season. But the amount of meaningful football that is ahead is very much dependent on getting a victory this weekend for Louisville. So with all that being said, thank you all for tuning in from the Pink Seats podcast. Jacob Lane, producer Keith, Vince Lococo. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast anywhere that you get your audio from, rate, review, and be sure to tune back in later this week for the Virginia recap with Matt McGavick and the gang. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, go Cards. All right, everybody say one nice thing about each other. Vince, I think your hair looks awesome. I love
Vince's hair looks fucking great.
Thanks, guys. I think you all are the best looking Louisville football podcasters in the country.
it. Okay, let's go.